Alright guys, so here we are with the build setup. This is taking quite a minute. It's taking a bit. Me and Zealot, especially on the streams, we've been like trying to theorycraft a build like this for a minute. We've gone through a lot of mod swaps, a lot of different like idea setups, scrapnel setups that weren't you know, eventually I kind of came to the idea where like, okay, I'm gonna try and keep everything frozen. I'm gonna have to get my mods to do the most of the damage. So if we look at our setup, and we'll talk about the weapons first because they're the most important. I would honestly say that Moaning Winds is probably the most important mod on here outside of Shadow Comet. Shadow Comet consistently I have found to be the highest part of our DPS. Every single time we run an expedition, Shadow Comet is always going to put out the most damage. The cooldown is very quick, and it does a lot of damage. Especially we can swap very consistently. Even though we are running double shotguns, we can still relatively be consistent with keeping the Shadow Comet damage raining down. And then having two weapons with Moaning Winds is going to be very good, especially whenever we have Cold Snap activated, which we will have relatively consistently. With our setup, we should be bulling and should be a-okay. Another mod I'd say, if you don't have Moaning Winds, you could try out is Fortress. Fortress is really good because it's 43% damage across the board. It's not just to firepower, it's not just to anomaly, it's across the board, which is obviously very helpful. So if you don't have Moaning Winds, I would highly recommend that. But other than that, dude, you have to have Shadow Comet. Shadow Comet is just too good, too useful. I would say another one, if you don't have Moaning Winds or Fortress, would definitely be Kinetic Stomp. That's very nice. And I was experimenting with like double Kinetic Stomp. Like I was experimenting with double Shadow Comet and double Kinetic Stomp. It was working relatively okay, but in order to get the consistent damage getting close to the Blood Mothers, it could get kind of finicky. So I decided to go with the Moaning Winds route, and I found that the Moaning Winds route has been the most consistent for golding CT15 expeditions. Is very useful and very helpful. So now let's go to the skills. So basically, we're trying to keep everything frozen. So as you see, we have our Cryo turret at a 6-second cooldown, and our Blight turret also basically 6.6 seconds. This is basically, I mean, this is a 6-second cooldown. We'll be having these up very consistently. We'll be able to throw these very often, and we even got our Cold Snap all the way under a 15, like just shy of a 15-second cooldown, which is very good, dude. Very useful. We have a lot of cooldown reduction on our armor, which traditionally I'm not a fan of, but with this setup, yeah, we will happily take that. It's overall very helpful. So let's go look at our skill tree, right? So we're deep into the tech shaman tree. Now if you are going to spec and roll Fortress, I would highly try and get as many armor plates as you possibly can. Since we aren't, I decided a little bit to dive off a little bit. However, I have found that you need to try and have these enemies just frozen for as long as you can, dude. Like anywhere you can get extra freezing, you can get wherever you can get fracture, anything like that, where you can get cooldown, anything like that is going to be very helpful. As you can see, we have Gadgeteer here, we have a Gadgeteer here, we also have, I think that we have another cooldown. Oh, okay, no, it's only those two, but we have a lot of cooldown mods that do help, and we do have cooldown reduction, which does help as well. I'm not running medical unit. I have found that I don't really need medical unit. The healing is nice, but we stay alive without it, so I don't need that. We have the turrets coming up so quick that this is honestly kind of irrelevant. Wipeout is very useful against bosses and elites. Anomaly power is useful for like our Blight turret and our Cryo turret. Even our Cold Snap, honestly, is very nice. Here is our Decay, which is obviously it's gonna be nice to get the extra anomaly power for things like our Cold Snap and our Comet perks, and even the Moaning Winds will be boosted by the anomaly power, which is very nice. Partially why we have a little bit of anomaly fueled over here. Obviously, you got to get Exposing Frost and Mark for Execution. These two are an absolute must-have. The Overclock is also useful just because you get anomaly power and weapon damage, and since we have our Cryo turret so low, this will literally be basically the entire time. Very helpful. And the only thing that I don't like is that I'm pretty sure that the latter half of this, the one that occurs every 3 minutes, I'm pretty sure that's bugged. But overall, I mean, we're not dying anyway, so we're just bulling. We're staying up. We're staying woke. And overall, this is what I've come to see. I thought about coming up in here, but I realized, like, nah, man, we gotta have as many ways to freeze enemies, so we can't quite get the shrapnel. So that's why we come down here instead, and we get antenna over here. Adrenalizing antenna wipeout, very good, very solid. And obviously, you got to get exposing frost. So let's go look at the actual armor here. So first things off, the helmet. So obviously there's some cooldown reduction right there, 7%, which is very nice. This is going to turn our our blighted turret into a cryo turret, which is really very nice. And it's going to give hail shot to our cryo turret, which is going to basically increase the damage based on our status power. And we have relatively decent status power. If we go ahead and press shift here, you will see that we have about 60% status power, which is going to actually help the cryo turret actually kill things, which is going to be very nice and pretty useful. So that is why we are running hail shot. Now keep in mind, if you don't want to run hail shot, you could totally switch that out for something else, but I've found that hail shot is very useful. But I do recommend getting ice component to make your blight turret a cryo turret. Then we have robe of the Borealis Monarch. Now we do have the set here. If you are playing solo, the set is not nearly as important, but if you are going to be playing co-op with this build, the set is going to give a 90% crit damage multiplier to all of your parties for 8 seconds, and with our fast cooldown, that's going to be up about 50% of the time. Yeah, that's going to be very useful for you and your squad. So if you are playing solo, it's not nearly as important, but if you are running with friends, yeah, having the set is going to be very useful. The set bonus is just so strong. Also, we do have Golem. I mean, it's Golem, bro. How can you not like Golem? Also, we do have status power over here, which will basically boost our cryo turret. We have bonus firepower and status power on here. Cryo down literally just makes it to where our cryo turret will just be able to throw them just casually. Look at 50%. That's very, very solid. And we do have freezing boost, which is very nice. It's going to give us a 15% damage against enemies that are frozen, obviously very good. And then we do have tier 3 shatter, which is going to give us a 25% more bonus, like damage bonus against frozen enemies. So that's 25%, 15%, so that's 40% right there. And then if we come in here, we have fracture, which is another 10%, so we're up to 50%. And then vulnerability is going to make it even like more useful. So you can you can't calc that into the actual damage percentage, but it's going to make the frozen enemies even better. And then we have fracture over here. So so it's basically 80% damage increased against frozen enemies. Yeah, very, very helpful. Yeah, just honestly. Also, you gotta mention, dude, Icicle Storm, like, dude, this perk is so good. You get so much extra damage, especially whenever, like, you get hordes of enemies close to elites. You chain this damage with your Moaning Winds, yeah, you'll do some nasty burst damage, dude. Icicle Storm is a must for this setup, an absolute must. And we also do have Long Winter, which basically is just going to make the Cold Snap reach further. Honestly, you could probably change this out for another damage mod or armor mod if you really want to. But I find it's pretty nice. But overall, I would say if you're going to change any mod, this is probably the one you have the most flexibility with. And then we have Foot Gear of the Cannonball. Honestly, I just needed better boots. If you could get... I believe it's called Ready. Well, it's not this one, but it's the one that gives you 25% damage reduction against elites. That's really good. And then I definitely recommend Rejuvenation somewhere on here. It's just such a good mod. You get firepower, anomaly power, and armor for 8 seconds whenever your health is replenished with a 10-second cooldown. Very, very solid. You're gonna have that up basically almost at all times as a Technomancer. Just overall, very, very good. Also, I guess I will mention that we do have Moaning Winds on our Disintegrator here. So you could honestly, you know, have 2 weapons. You could have 3 weapons. Actually, we do have 3 weapons with Moaning Winds. I was going to say you could have 2, but then I was like, wait, sidearm, that's 3. And you could honestly just chain Moaning Winds like crazy across these weapons. And then we have these 2 with Shadow Comet. We can do some nasty stuff with that. And honestly, Moaning Winds is just so good. Anyways, though, guys, that is going to just about wrap up the build. Finally, I was able to get one done with no blighted rounds, golding expeditions, and challenge tier 15. It's a little bit more you know, it takes more, I don't want to say skill, but it takes more brain power, because you're not just shooting everything with blighted rounds. You gotta do a lot of weapon switching, reloading, checking all of your cooldowns, throwing your turrets, popping your cold snaps. But it's fun, and it works, man, honestly. Hope y'all enjoyed the video, though. If you guys did enjoy the video, please make sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, trying to hit that by the end of the year. And yeah, anyways, hope y'all enjoy the rest of the gameplay. My name's Kree, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.